Welcome to Bite-Sized Theology. You ever had one of those meals where you start eating it thinking you're going to eat the whole thing, and after a couple of bites you realize, this thing is so rich I could never take it all in? I want to show you a recipe that's like that today. It's not just a pecan pie, it's not just a coconut pecan pie, it's a coconut German chocolate pecan pie, and I think you're going to love it. When making a pie, one of the things that can be a bit intimidating sometimes is making the crust. But I want to encourage you to make your own, and we're going to use just simple flour, salt, and today we're going to use lard. Some people use butter, some people use shortening, but today we're going to use lard. I want to encourage you, if you've never used it, make your crust in a food processor. Just go ahead and get the flour and salt in there. Give it one quick whirl, and then we're going to add in our fat, which, like I said, is the lard. And then we're just going to pulse this until it becomes just at the beginning of being able to stay together when you pinch the dough. So we'll pulse it a few times. Now what we'll do in all dough is you're going to add some ice cold water. Get some ice, make sure it's ice cold, and we're going to add 1 tablespoon at a time. It seems like it's a little slow going, but believe me, you don't want to overdo it. So just turn that up, turn the dough out onto your countertop, form it into a disc. It goes on a piece of plastic wrap, wrap that up a few times, and we're going to put this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. So our dough's been chilling for 30 minutes. It's gotten pretty firm, but this is what makes a good rollout. So set your disc right on a floured surface. I just use the granite countertop as a great surface. I flip it over as it starts expanding just a little bit, and we're gonna roll this out just to be a little bit larger than the 9-inch pie plate. Pretty good. I think that's it. And there's your dough. That will have a blind bake in the oven, so we'll get this dough almost all the way cooked before we put it in. So while the pie crust is in the oven pre-baking, we're going to make the first filling, the pecan pie piece of the filling. 4 ounces of German chocolate, 2 ounces of baking chocolate, a cup of chopped pecans, some sweetened condensed milk, and 4 egg yolks. Okay, so our chocolate is melted, cooled off just for a minute. You always want to make sure it's cooled just a little bit so that when we add eggs to it, or the egg yolks to it, they don't scramble. We'll save that for breakfast. But we're going to go ahead and add into our chocolate the sweetened condensed milk, and man, is that thick. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to run his finger in there and get some of that because he liked the taste of it. Come in real slow with the eggs. And we'll get all those out of there. And then we'll just mix it up real good. The eggs are actually what will help the pecan pie set when it bakes. We're going to go ahead and add these pecans. After all, it is pecan pie. And we'll mix these in and fill up our pie crust. When your pie crust finishes pre-baking, add your chocolate pecan mix to the pie crust and then back in the oven for about 15 minutes. All right, we got our butter, sugar, and heavy cream off the boil, and we're ready to get the eggs into that and finish our German chocolate topping. So we'll stir this up just a little bit. And then in go about a quarter cup of chopped pecans. Pretty thin, but this will thicken up over time. And then we go ahead with a cup of sweetened coconut. And then finally about a teaspoon of vanilla. Once we get that all mixed up, it's just gonna go right on top of our pecan pie. I look at a pie like that and think, oh, I could eat the whole thing. but this food is so rich, I may not get through this one piece. This season of Advent, Christmas, we're thinking about Christ coming, about a Savior being born, and how rich that is. What it means to our lives that we can be saved, we can be made right with God because God sent Jesus to come and save us. It's so rich. I wonder if this season when we eat pie and experience the abundant things in life, that we might think about the abundant life that Christ offers us and how it overflows in our life. We probably can't eat it all. But maybe this season, this Advent, maybe this Christmas, we look for ways to share Christ, to share these rich foods that we eat, and let that remind us of how rich God's love lives in us and how it's meant to be shared. There's a hymn, an old one, "Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere, that Jesus Christ is born." Experience the rich life that God's got for you in His Son Jesus this Christmas. That's a bite-sized piece of theology.